Hello, this video is to demonstrate Vista Solutions ZPL features. Okay, so we've just installed our ZPL app and we now can see that it's installed on the home screen. To configure it, we need to go to our settings, scroll to the bottom, where you will need to set your API key and API secret after purchasing the app, and the server's URL. Okay, and we can save that. Okay. It'll also be useful to confirm that your permissions are correct, so we'll scroll down to the bottom, activate developer mode, and we'll return back to our settings app, go to our users and users. So by default the admin will have the permission, but if you had other users you could give them permission as well. So we'll just open up the user, scroll to the bottom and see that ZPL admin is true, so that's why I see the app. Okay, and we'll open up the app for the first time. See that I made a couple demo labels for us to review. So to create a new one, you can just click Create New at the top left. You can provide any name that works for you. So you might have a product label, you might have barcode labels, maybe transfer labels, serial labels. So the different models you can choose from dictate where you're going to print the label from. So product templates, product variants, lots and serial records, stock moves, locations, and stock pickings. Okay, so I'll show you an example of a product label first. So, but in the first creation here, we'll set the name, set the model where we're going to print it, and then you can set a product which will be used as the demo product as you construct your label. So you can see the results come from that product and its fields. Okay. Then we have a group where you can set permission groups of what users in those groups can see this label to print it. So if you had multi-warehouse and you wanted to split permissions between warehouses, you could create a group, permission group for each warehouse, so that people don't see each other's labels, mostly for simplicity, and so they don't accidentally print someone else's label. Okay. Company, so the label is company specific. You can set the height and width of the paper you're printing on, and the DPI that your printer is set at. So the standards are configurable here. Okay. Then I can save my label and go back using breadcrumbs, or just click labels at the top, take me back to the list of labels. Okay, so that new label I created now is in the Kanban view, and I can click it and it's just ready for adding items to it. So we can drag and drop these different types of items on the left over to the right, and as we construct it, it'll show previews down at the bottom. So I'll just show you from the labels I've built. Okay, so we'll start with this location label because it's a more simple label. Okay, so I've dragged over a QR code, and if I just click on the QR code on the right, it lets me see the details. So this QR code will be generated from the barcode field of the locations. Okay, so I'm just going to pop over to my location here. So I made bin 1 location, it's a sub location of stock. I set a barcode here, so when this barcode is scanned in Odoo, it will use this barcode field, of course, from the barcode app in Odoo. But I set this barcode in my ZPL label. So let me get my designer. So that's actually going to produce the barcode. On top of that, I also added a multi-line below it. So we'll click on that, and you can see I use the same source there, just so that I can see the number of the label of the barcode itself. In case I had to manually type it for some reason, whatever might work for you. Okay. So also, depending on the field type, you'll have different options. So since this is a text field, I can choose different fonts, I can choose different sizes, I can manually move the position left and right here instead of dragging if I need a little more fine tuning. I can center the text, of course, line spacing, multi-line. If I had like a description field with lots of data, just to make sure I have the correct format, I can do that. So also here I can drag longer if need be, and also drag it. So let's say I had a bunch of text, right? Okay, so and then the name one I added, I just chose the location name, so it just shows the main name of the location, not the full-on name. So let me drag another multi-line over here to show you. Okay, so it has a label by default. I can erase that. That's what I did on name, because I don't need to tell them or tell people that this is the name of the location. That's just pretty clear. But if you need it to be more clear, you can add that label there. So I'm going to make this longer, drag it more to the left, see the results down below. Okay, this time I'm going to do something like the full location name. Okay, you can see it's jarbled there because I haven't grabbed it, I haven't dragged it wide enough yet. Okay, but there's also so much data it won't fit on one line, so I'm going to add a multi-line here. Okay, I'm going to drag it skinnier to make it force down to that multi-line. You can see the results. So I really don't need a label there, so I'm going to remove it, remove that multi-line, and just leave it as a single line like that. Move my label. Of course, I can change the font size and see the results. Okay, so those are the basics of the label making. Okay, we'll go to the products label. Since I have a lot more fields to deal with, you'll see some more real-world examples. Okay. So this is a product label I was able to mock up in like 10 minutes instead of building this out in ZPL code, which is a huge advantage when you're building lots of custom labels. Okay, on the left I'll show you a couple other things here. I can press print and print this label, okay, as testing, and I can publish it when I have finished producing it. It will not show, so here's my product that I'm actually going to print from, and I can press print ZPL label. It won't show up in this list if I don't have permissions or if the label isn't published. Okay, so that product template label shows that I've created, and if I go to my locations and I print the label, same thing. So those are both published. Okay. Okay, so you can see some. I'll show you some examples of the things I've added. I've added one of each of these different options we have. So I dragged an image over here and I uploaded an image, a logo of my company, and then I dragged over a couple multi-lines for the name of my company. Maybe I like to make my line a larger font size. Okay, and then since this is a product, the product has its own barcode. I've used the QR code for the product, UPC code or barcode, and then just below it, just like I did in that location label, I added a multi-line to pull from the same field so that users can see a visual value of it. Okay, and then I've created many multi-lines here. I've got the name, so it just pulls the name of the product. Description, it pulls over the sales description, a little more data. The SKU, so it pulls over the internal reference or SKU of the product. The weight, and then I pulled another field for the weights unit of measure so you can get a better visual. And then in Studio or in custom code, you can create more fields on the product, and these are some examples of that. Material, color, weight. Okay. Then I use the border line over here to drag over a border, oh, right up here, yep. And I just wanted to make it boxy, a little better looking label, right? So I can change the thickness of the border, things like that. Pretty basic, right? Okay. It could also just become So let's do height is 0. Okay, so now I've basically created a line, right? So that could be useful as well. So there's some examples there. So okay, let me show you a little more of creating a field. So I'm going to drag over this multi-line here just as an example. It's not going to be pretty because I've pretty much filled this out, right? So I'm going to do no label on this one, and I can do relational fields off of the fields of the product. So for example, I have a product category for this product. Okay, and let me just drag this so we can actually visually see it down below. So it's showing the full category name, which is all categories, sellable desks, but I just want to see desks. I don't want to see the whole thing. Let me label this. We'll just call it cat space. Okay. Click off of it so it updates. Okay. And I'm going to do a relational field, and this is the fields on the product category. So the field on the product, and then the field, the related field inside. So I can do complete names, what's already showing. I'm going to actually just do name because I don't want to see so much data, so you can see that. So I didn't have to have a big old field. Okay, so I don't even need this as big anymore. Okay, so that's a very useful skill as well.